Yeah, baby, here we go. It is a slightly sober KVJ After the Show podcast.
Yeah.
Slightly sober or sober? Just slightly hungover.
Yeah, you guys might have been, stealing drinks here and there, so I didn't know. I didn't want to proclaim something and be like, nah, fucker, we're all hammered. All right.
No, you're right. Because
you never know.
It can happen real quick in these parts.
Yeah, I've made that declaration before, and it's come back to bite me in the ass. Now I'm hammered. All right.
Fuck you, I'm drunk.
Drunks get really offended when you call them sober. How dare you insult me like that? Yeah, so just wanted to correct. I got this email from Jen about yesterday's episode. She said, I cannot wait to hear Ann's reaction to Jaybird's drunken escapade on the show. By the way, I never heard the song Shots sung before, and I could not get that song out of my head all night. So, Kevin, go fuck yourself. Love you all just a little bit more when you're drunk. So that's from Jen. Hear that.
Yeah, when you were playing that Shots, that thing was so funny.
Oh, it's so just rude.
You nailed it with the timing of the sound effects for sure.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
There's a talent with those sound effects, by the way. You got to know when to do it.
If
someone's talking over it, you got to really know how to read the room.
There is. It is an art form all unto itself. And, if you grew up a fan of Howard Stern's show, they always did that. And, man, they did such a good job with the sound effects on that show that it really was.
You can ruin stuff, too, with it as well.
No, absolutely. I mean, they had one person who was pretty much just there working the sound effects. And, I mean, if you do it right and grabbing it and adding that audio in, it's kind of one thing. They had Fred on that show forever that would just drop in the right thing at the right time. Or
Still does.
Grab something. Yeah. And he Howard, as genius as he is, recognized how important that was. And, said.
I think with that whole show, there's genius with everybody on there. I think they all bring something to the table.
I'm sure. Honestly, that would be the one thing I'd say with putting together a show. I mean, I'm completely happy with what we got with KVJ because it takes a solid team, to do what we do and to have it be good, and everybody's got to be great. And I just, consider myself to be blessed. I'm very happy to be with this crew because I got, funny people in here with me that constantly make me laugh. Denny's is fantastic at what he does. Suits is a great addition. And even Thumbelina in there.
Who's new.
Who's brand new and excited to see, I just see potential written all over that girl. And so, yeah, I mean, we've never been better with the team we have. But it takes a solid team. And I've had guys who do this. I talk to a lot of people who do what I do and just, kind of talk to them about what's going on. And, man, some of them really struggle. Some of them really, and I'm talking about some big dudes that you definitely know their names that are like, oh, my gosh, I got this either turnover with their show or they got somebody on the show that's just not working out. Yeah, sometimes drama, sometimes just you'd be surprised how many people are just lazy, too, and don't do anything. And they're like going, I can't get them to do anything. And there may be it's hard to find someone a lot of times that's talented and motivated, and that's why usually when you see them, it's it's Kevin Hart.
And sometimes you just have lack of chemistry with people.
True.
There's just some people. I remember back at Wild, I had to do a shift or two with some other people in the building just because of what was going on, and it was not good, and it was uncomfortable, and it sucked.
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going through, and I do the sports show thing that I do, or Kevin's other show. But, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to be back in that position, to be with, people that you don't really know. And, and they're both, good and, they're fantastic with what they do. But it's a whole different feel and dynamic, You
got a vibe.
Yeah.
And if you don't know these people, you're like, okay, I don't even know if I say something, if they're going to vibe off that.
Right, yeah.
Well, I think you can be opposite opinions of somebody and different type of characters. But both parties have to be cool with you saying something and them not being too offended, and you have to have that. If you don't, to me, that's when chemistry starts to get really fucked up.
Well, that's why for us, I think it starts with similar senses of humor. You find the same things funny, and you kind of add to it that way. And that's why, when Virginia and I first got together almost 20 years ago now, it was me talking to her. We had nightly conversations for several hours. It was It's kind of like one of those things, when you're in love and you're like, get that high school crush and you're on the phone forever.
Tell
and
me about you.
And we're just like,
Tell me about
the
you.
time flies
Awesome.
by. The time just flew by. It was just like, oh my gosh, you've been on the phone. OMG, you've been on the phone for 3 hours.
Kevin, you are so funny.
Yeah, Virginia, they're so funny. Yeah, but it was that's how I remember those conversations. I still remember them vividly, having them where I was already here and talking to her, and she hadn't arrived yet, and just going, oh man, the vibe was there, and that really is it. And so where I am with this other show, it's the other way around. Which, it was like, hey, you do this, and here's who you got available. 2 really good dudes, both of them, fantastic. But yeah, it's kind of put together a little differently.
I wasn't sure how the Weird and Whatever podcast would go because, Ryan Beckett and me are very not the same. And Vicky, who's the psychic, I was very lucky because I had Denny's with me too, who me and him are pretty much the same person. He's just way more mellower than me. But yeah, it was kind of weird in the beginning to not be talking to Kevin or Virginia.
Yeah, it's weird. It's still really weird for me, and it's still new and still in the first gear. But yeah, that's why it'd be a lot easier if you guys knew sports, and it'd be able to keep this whole vibe together, but, kind of go down that path and, have that be the way that it is. So it's kind of interesting because, the way I want the sports show to sound, it's a lot how KVJ is, but I'm starting to realize that there's only 2 U's, and
Oh, yeah.
these people they're a lot different than Virginia and Jaybird. And so it's trying to get to where I want to go and what I want the show to ultimately sound like is it's going to be more challenging.
Well, as soon as a sport like competitive drinking becomes an Olympic sport, we're there.
Right,
You
yeah.
bring us in for that segment on your
Right.
sports show, and we have nothing but chatter for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I want you to bring me in for weird topics. Like if you have a wrestling topic or
Yeah.
you're telling me
Yeah.
maybe getting into the steroid debate, I'm down with that.
Yeah, we'll probably doing a little bit of different stuff. It's very much I'm just doing easy, just talk topics. It's nothing.
should.
There's no razzle dazzle. It's very much Radio 101.
Have you talked to these guys at all about the fundamentals of being a team and doing a show together? Like, have you given them any coaching?
Yeah, we're going to start that this next week because I've had, I've had a coach that's been with me pretty much my entire career and has followed me around. And luckily now, he's gotten to the point where he was just like with KVJ. He's like, he didn't have anything. He's like, I got nothing for
Making
you.
stuff up.
Yeah, it
Just to have
kind of
stuff.
was because I'm not saying we're just so amazing,
We're
but
just old.
But for what we are on KVJ, it's like there's not fundamentally a lot of stuff that's wrong. It's like, okay, yeah, our show sounds fucked, but
That's the charm, baby.
that's the design of how it's supposed to be. All those little things that a radio coach would put together is like, yeah, that you're doing that right. That's being done right. Everything's being done right. So he's going to now focus. I said, hey, if you wouldn't mind, and so we'll start working, with Ricky, Bobby, and Diener on stuff like that. So
that would be a good way to use that guy you're talking about.
And you make sure that they drill into these guys' heads those first important laws of improv. Yes, and
Right.
building on what the other person is saying and helping you because you don't need 2 guys contradicting you that are new. That are like not as tight as we are. We can mess with each other because we're tight. But in the beginning, you need the laws of improv to very much be in the room.
Well, the worst is when you're trying to get something fun or something goofy going on the air, and then someone shuts you down.
verbal cock block.
You're like, oh, fuck, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's like the first rule, I think, of a new show. Nobody can verbally cock block anybody else. It's yes and.
Well, if you are going to cock block, it's got to go somewhere. The next person's going to be like, what the fuck does that mean?
And Kevin has to know where it's going to go. Because, you can't throw curveballs at the host and not have that be what you do.
Right. I'd say both of them are the timing and everything. All that stuff is working out really well.
It's good. I listen. It's very good.
Yeah, that part, the flow and all that stuff is good. The one thing that is just there is that you say, what is that secret sauce? Because you could sit there and coach. It'll be interesting to see what my coach says to us. Because you can be like, yeah, fundamentally, but there's a secret sauce in personalities that just click together. And that's so hard to put together. Of all the radio shows that have done it, I'd say probably less than 2% of them have it. I feel like we've got it with KVJ. And getting that together on another show, that's where it's like, That's where it's tough, and so the question is my concept of what the show is, does that need to change? Do people change? How do you, dial into what it is,
Well, I think you talked about it with, when we three first, had our friendships. First you and I, and then when Jaybird came in the fold. But it's a friendship.
It is, yeah.
And it's a connection on that level of what makes you laugh, what gets you interested, what is fascinating to you. Like, you have to kind of have the same but different brains.
Right.
And the same things have to touch you, either emotionally or comically. And I don't know, do those guys have that?
Well, I think it's still too early in the game, to work out. Because like I said, we're, here I've got texting and calls and everything else. And, this is being recorded. So that takes away the calls, the text, the email feedback, all that kind of stuff is all gone. So it's a different dynamic in that. So that feels different to that extent of it. I have a lot less time.
Yes.
The only time I have to prep for the sports show is when I'm done with this. And whatever calls we might have to go through after this. And it's 45 minutes of prep time, 45 minutes of show time. And those numbers don't work out because prep to doing on air, it's always a 2-to-1 ratio, as I've always found. So we do 4 hours on KVJ. KVJ to me is a 12-hour-a-day project. So it's 8 hours of prep, it's 4 hours on the air. So my ratio's off.
Yeah, you can.
It is.
So I'm walking into this show with
like Seacrest, and you need those guys to do a lot of heavy lifting, but they need to know that they make you sound like a star. That needs to be how it always has to come back to.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of that is like, okay, how do we know what this guy's design is? Because you can't hand somebody be like, hey, this is, and that'll happen where it's like, hey, this is funny, and you look at it, and I've got
ain't funny.
Well, I got the same sense of humor as you and Jaybird, and it's those kind of eyes, and we have a unique sense of humor, I think, to some extent, where a lot of people are going, yeah, that's great, and the rest of the crew for that show may be like, this is hysterical stuff, and I'm like, it ain't my style, man. I can't do it. I feel bad.
Well,
tough.
If you're the one driving the train,
you can't do something that it feels unnatural to you. So
and I hope they don't take that personal.
No, and that's tough, and that's where it's
that
like,
is.
where everybody's gonna have a thick skin. Say, look, and I recognize they've got great abilities, and I'm very happy with them. But there's gonna come times where it's like, I would say, just from the early thing, I think obviously I'm dialed in more sense of humor wise with you and Jaybird. And so that's going to be the interesting thing is how that comes out when I don't have time to prepare, get all that kind of stuff ready like I want to, when it's like the show's handed to you and here you got that fundamental flaw. So I think part of what we're going to do is trying to get more people kind of like jumping in and doing stuff, and that's going to be it. I think it's going to be like, I'm actually going to be like the whole community be like, hey, will you guys help me do this show? Like, 'cause I can't do it. Like, I can be the ringleader, but I don't have enough time to put together the kind of show that I feel great about that's that quality without a ton of people helping.
You know what you could use? You could use a few guys that I'm sure are listening right now to this podcast that love sports, that love reading about sports, but have that eye to go in and extrapolate funny stories and have that comedy writing like skill. It is a skill where they can look at something and see like a story about Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union and something funny that happened to them in Miami and be able to write you a little, I don't know, quick blurb, 2 paragraphs of something funny that you can use on your show. That would be awesome.
That's what I'm going to need, and there's people like, for instance, if you remember old intern Captain Jack, I'm emailing with him a little bit, and he has a sports podcast, and works a little bit in local TV too, but like for him, I want to do Drunken Dolphin recaps. And so that's one thing where I need someone to go to the Dolphins game, find the drunkest person you can find. And
tell me about the game.
Tell me about the game.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. And so,
brilliant.
Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff. But, you got to walk in and be like, hey, I got your Drunken Dolphin recap. And it's like, cool. All I got to do is just sit back and listen to it.
Right.
So that's when, it hums, then that's when it's going to be great. But that's where I'm going to need anybody who wants to do it. And, you don't have a budget to do it. So it's like, I can get
it's
you
for the love of the game.
Well, I can get you tickets, I can get you sports tickets, and I can give you love. That's it.
Some guys will do it for that.
Right, yeah.
Don't forget about a little-known correspondent from back in the day named Drinkin' Lincoln.
Yeah.
He loves that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
And
yeah.
he does. He knows his stuff. And he can still be funny, and he would be a good yes and guy.
Yeah, and so that's it. So the show is going to have to rely a lot less on me generating content and me just showcasing other people's stuff.
Yes.
So when it's humming, that's what it's got to be. I got to walk in and I got to have producers say, hey, there's 10 funny little bits here today that people
wrote for you.
Yeah,
and
sent
showed
to us.
you, hey, look.
And then I'm just like, oh, hey, let's check out his, let's check out his, let's check out his. And then, let's
That's
put it all
smart.
together. Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Plus,
Yeah.
it's very, you guys are in the beginning stages
Absolutely.
of stuff. The guys you're working with, they may not know how you work, and you got to give them a chance to understand how you are and all that.
Yeah.
Got to give it at least 3 months.
And they're probably nervous,
Of course.
too. I mean, that's
Sure.
something that we have the luxury of it not being a part of our flow.
Yeah.
Nobody walks in this room nervous to talk to each other because we're familiar, we're comfortable. Those guys are probably nervous and scared they're going to mess it up.
And I want to say, I've listened to your show. I think they both sound really good.
Yeah.
And my critique, it would only be give them a chance to show you that they can do it too.
Yeah.
Because it's a good opportunity for those two guys. And I think it's too early to say this or that.
No, I agree. Yeah, so I think it's it's good, and it's a ton of fun to talk about the sports stuff. I like that because I spend my free time's pretty much all doing that.
you
kind
do.
of
You
stuff.
have a passion for it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it'll be fun to see where it goes, and I like everybody doing like the little side projects. Jaybird's Weird and Whatever. Somebody sent me an email and said, now everything we have is going to be showcased on KVJ. In fact, I don't know if I have got the sports stuff up there, but I know your Weird and Whatever is there. My old Godcast is there because people are like saying, where can I go check that out? Virginia, when she gets her cooking thing, is going to be up there. So it'll all still be under the KVJ umbrella. That's why I called it Kevin's Other Show, because it's still just under the KVJ universe, even though they air it on another station.
Yeah, someone was asking how you can find the Weird and Whatever. If you just go into Google and type in KVJ Weird and Whatever, it should come right up. And yeah, every episode but one's been put on our YouTube channel. It's just because we upload so much here every single day.
Yeah.
It looks confusing. We're working on getting that more organized.
What's the matter with the one episode you can't put on YouTube?
We didn't have a producer that day. She wasn't here to be able to put it on there. But I'm struggling with. We do that at 6 at night on a Wednesday, and trying to get everyone's schedule. That's a bit of a struggle.
I know you got Beckett, you got
Vicky
is
and
on
Denny's,
there.
and then we have
Denny's.
our old intern Angelica, who's
Yeah.
our producer.
Okay.
And I love doing it with them. The chemistry with us is great.
Yeah. Yeah. That's you like the aliens and the Bigfoot and all that kind of stuff.
We talk a lot about
Seems like deep stuff too.
afterlife, spiritualism,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So yeah, I'll make sure I'll check our website to make sure that we get all that kind of stuff. It should be right there at kvjshow.com. I'll just double check to make sure that we got it all there, so you'll be able to find all that.
Because you're right, it's all technically KVJ content.
It
With
is,
stuff
yeah.
you're doing, Virginia's doing, what we're all doing. It's still just content for the people.
And for us, KVJ itself, and here's kind of part of what the problem is. You've heard about like Fox that's going to be going down to 2 minutes of like commercials.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah, Fox
for
TV.
them.
Yeah,
Good
and
for
so
them.
This is ultimately the challenge that, and a big part of, to understand what my motivation is on this. A lot of companies are dealing with this, where they're looking at large commercial loads that the audiences are no longer finding acceptable, and they expect things to be quick and easy. You listen to our podcast, there's no music, no commercials, you fly right through it. And it's there for now like that. But, there might be a place and a time where we got to start sliding a little bit here and there, but keep them short and manageable.
Like we do with the Buds.
Yes, because what ultimately my goal is, and what we need to do, and I recognize this, the KVJ regular broadcast show, the commercial breaks are too freaking long.
Too long, man. Number one complaint I get from people.
But the problem is, people just will get rid of the commercials. Well, the problem is that no one has any money. And, as much as I love doing this show, my wife would not be cool with me saying, hey, honey, I'm going to do this for the love of the game. We're not going to have any money anymore. And
Your ass.
that is the day that I get yanked out of radio.
I'm an artist. I'm doing it
I'm
for
an
my art.
artist. This is for the love. I need this in my life. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So, the goal is to try to find other ways to make money and have it to be palatable. So it's not like you're listening to a commercial. So, part of it with Kev's other show, you got different sports things that I would be doing anyway. Now my time where going out to the ballpark, now actually I can make money for a station, which overall goes to the same kitty because, we own the sports station, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Jaybird starts getting, some great downloads on his Weird and Whatever podcast, then we can start putting small, dinky little 10-second commercials in that thing, and that starts taking away the big, huge commercial chunk we got on KVJ. Virginia gets cooking stuff. We tie in sponsors and all that kind of stuff, and then that starts making money. And ultimately, the KVJ broadcast product gets better because you're going, oh my gosh, are they only playing 2 minutes of commercials? And you'd be going, holy crap, this is so great, And so you kind of just try to spread them out, through other things so that it's sponsorship, you integrate content, and the commercial breaks aren't as long. So we don't lose any money. Ultimately, we're making the same amount of money, but the product's just so much better.
Will we ever get to that day in radio?
It's slow, and I am. This is like pushing a boulder up a mountain. It really is.
Because radio is a dinosaur doing things the way it's always done things. Nobody wants to change. Everybody wants to keep these long commercial stop sets.
But I'm showing people, and ultimately why we have KVJ TV, why we have podcasts, why we have Weird and Whatever, why we have Kevin's other show, we have Virginia's cooking show coming up, why we have Denny's Weedcast. Is
that would do
as
very
soon
well,
as they
by the
legalize
way.
that's Denny's has to do a weed podcast, has to. And we're going to, it's not even negotiable. And we're going to sell the hell out of that to the medicinal marijuana crowd. And, when we have those places open up, it'll make money. And so ultimately, so I'm creating all this and I'm working with our sales department. I'm saying, please, pull this aside, make money here, make money there. We're not going to lose any. It's going to ultimately be better. And at the end of it, I'm doing it for the audience because the audience is going to be like, it's a better product, guys. Thank you.
And you're making us last.
Yeah.
We're not going to be phased out.
Right.
Because I don't know if broadcast radio is going to be around forever.
Yeah, I don't.
They say that all the time, though,
They
man.
do.
Gosh, they've been saying that forever.
I don't believe that it's going to be around forever, though.
If it's free, it will be. People love free shit.
I hear you.
The thing to me is it's not as technology gets better. I think one day people are going to be going, can you believe you would drive and all of a sudden a station would get staticky?
Static, yes.
And that concept will be so foreign to people with the ability now to broadcast stuff and the integrated dashboards that we're going to have and all that kind of stuff where you can listen to KVJ globally, crystal clear, anywhere you are. I mean, that's really how it should be done. And so we're setting up the whole KVJ universe to be that way.
There will still be cars and people that don't want to spend the money to put those features in their car because the integrated dashboards, all that, it does cost more.
Yeah.
But I think as time goes on, you'll see more and more people having those capabilities in their car and less people caring about the FM dial.
It all depends, too, if what kind of content you're getting. I mean, for a show like us, you can really only get us through our podcast and our FM dial. It's not like it's this thing where, see what I'm saying? Our main show, if you want to hear every little thing of it, you have to hear that in real time. Because Denny's doesn't put all the dirts up there. And I know a lot of people want to hear all the dirts. Who doesn't?
Yeah, well, with that and with YouTube thrown on top of it is now you've got that on-demand factor and you're going to be able to pretty much listen, watch whatever you want to do wherever you are, and that's the concept of it. And honestly, it's never been a better time for even spoken word and audio. A lot of people are doing that because they're just busy about their days, and there's a lot of times where it's like, I'm doing something else. Thank you, honestly, to social media and screens because people want to listen to something while they're checking out their social media. And so they're not necessarily visually wanting to lock into something. So audio is better than ever. So that's why we give you a little bit of both. You can watch or you can listen. So, yeah, we'll see where it all winds up. But that's what drives me every day. That's the method. So we'll see where it winds up for us.
I'm excited for this cooking show. I hope you're going to cook some non-fancy shit as well.
Well, I'm starting with gumbo.
Okay, well, that's your specialty.
That's my thing. I mean, I got to be true to my roots and start with that.
It's good. There's so many possibilities, and now I'm kind of getting the other show a little bit settled. I'm going to jump full in with Virginia, and we're going to sell the shit out of that thing.
I love it.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. So I'm about there, Virginia.
I love it.
Not into autopilot with the other show. Got this email about the other show. Somebody had sent in and they said, I was listening to Kev years ago. Let me try to find this. Yeah, it says, this is from Steven in Hawaii. He said, aloha, Kev, Virginia and Jaybird. While waiting for today's show to populate on Podbean, I found your first show on WRMF, July 29th of 2014. While listening, somebody commented during your layoff that you were doing a sports show, Kev. Huh? Took about 4 years, but you finally did it. Keep your focus on local sports because you're killing it on the other show. By the way, Jason, go fuck yourself. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you don't know the other show, we'll do every local story that's what leads the priority. So we talked about D. Wade at Stoneman Douglas yesterday and talked a lot about spring training and stuff like that went on for baseball that's happening now. So that's a big part of what we do. Let me see. On that, let me see here. What email was I getting ready to pull out? Oh, yeah, it was about daylight savings time. Because yesterday we were talking about that. That was one of the things we talked about yesterday on the show. We talked about daylight savings time in Florida getting that.
It's going to Rick Scott, I heard.
Yeah, Rick Scott gets it, and then I think Congress gets it, like the U.S. Congress. I think it goes to D.C. from my understanding. Like I thought, because I thought they ultimately had to approve it, but maybe not. Maybe it ends in Florida, and we'd be like, screw you, U.S. We're going to do what we want to do.
Huh.
But part of the thing we talked about yesterday on the other show, and I never even thought about it, somebody brought up the effect it has on a lot of other things, sports being the first one, because like the national championship in college football kicked off at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So in Florida, if we go to daylight saving time, that'll be 10 p.m. So the college football national championship would start at 10 p.m.
Ooh.
So would the rest of the country bow down for Florida and change? Because keep in mind, the whole eastern seaboard is going to be different. Think about New Year's Eve.
Countdown.
We would be going it would be technically, we'd be 1 hour ahead.
Wow, that's true.
Of New York.
If
so
it's
the ball would be different.
If it's where everyone's got to follow Florida's lead, they're gonna tell Florida to go fuck itself.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this could be a trend that Florida starts and everybody along the eastern seaboard decides they want to do it too.
That's what we were just figuring out because it could change a lot for Florida sports fans. And keep in mind too, the one thing that I had mentioned, 3 NFL cities. Imagine a Monday night football game. Kickoff usually is 8:30. It would be 9:30. Imagine you're starting your Dolphins game at 9:30 p.m. It would be about 12:30, 1:30 a.m. You'd be home in bed probably by 2 to 2:30 a.m. and then go to work, wake up at 6, 7. I mean, everyone in that stadium basically would have to take off work the next day and school.
So are you trying to say that Florida would have its own time, and if no one else did it, Georgia would have a different time?
Yeah, they'd be on a different time.
I don't see it happening.
It's already happening in other states.
That's what would happen. That was the thing. I'm like going, think about right around us. What would happen?
So
We're not the first state.
But we would be on the east, wouldn't we?
On the East
That's what I'm
Coast,
saying.
yeah.
It's going to take more than one state to make it work. All of a sudden, Florida is at 7, and then Georgia is at, I don't know.
But what if Florida does it, and then Georgia's like, I want to do it too. And then everybody starts going, we want to do it too.
Well, what if Florida does it, Georgia doesn't do it, and then you got like or you got Virginia wanting to do it. You've got Vermont wanting to do it.
It could start
that'd fuck everything up.
It could start a thing. I mean, Florida might be the first that really, if you have a state that holds on to be like, no, we're switching times, and they're going to be that, then time zones could be. I mean, right now, if you were slightly confused with going Eastern to Central to Mountain to Pacific, it could be a whole country of fuckery.
There's no way that everyone would have to do it.
But everyone should do it. Think about why there is daylight savings time.
Everyone should.
It doesn't make sense anymore.
I agree.
So we have to show them and lead by example and say, hey, look, we're Florida. We're fucking leading the way.
It's not that easy, though.
Follow us
I
to
know.
the promised land, and let's do this
Jaybir's right, too. You're both right, but I was thinking about my road trip I took. I think one day we had things set up at certain times, and I was in 4 different states in one day. Now, imagine if you had to be like, okay, Tennessee, I'm there at 2. Wait, is that 2 or am I at 3? Okay, no, it's 3 here. And then you would have to imagine if you went through 4 states and they all were on different time zones.
Progress is not easy.
I agree.
Change is never easy for the people that make it.
But you're never, if you don't have more than just Florida that's down with this, if you just have Florida leading the way and everyone's like, we're not doing it, there's no way this is happening.
I think other people will follow suit because it makes sense.
I agree with you eventually, but I think that there's going to be some severe growing pains.
Yes.
People don't like change.
And that's what happens when you have change. The
Right.
people making the change go through the pain.
And I think the question is, even if everyone on the eastern seaboard conforms with Florida, how many years would that take? And you could say 30 years possibly.
No.
I don't know.
It's either going to happen in a few or it's not.
Because if you have a situation where you've got Florida wanting to do it, let's say Georgia didn't want to do it, but then the state above Georgia will do it. Now you're driving through Florida, it's one time. You drive through Georgia, it's one time. And then you go back into time.
Well,
it wouldn't make sense.
We got to tell them, we got to talk them into it, or we declare martial law on them.
West Virginia just got the concept of time last year.
Yeah, there's no way this is happening.
They just got digital clocks.
Yes. I don't get it. Shit.
We've been watching a sundial all these years.
I only say that because my family's from West Virginia, haters.
You can say it, just like I can say Mexican
I'm a
jokes.
mountaineer.
Yes.
Yes.
You're allowed.
It's not happening. As much as I want it to happen, I'm for it. It's never going to happen.
Don't be so negative, Nancy.
It's not nothing
I know, but
to do
it's
with
realistic.
negativity.
I agree with you. It's realistic.
I'm not being negative.
And I think that's one of the first questions. That's why we talked about that. No one has any answers, but it'll be interesting to see because for sports fans, what does that mean for you? Because it's crazy. So.
Keep hope alive, Kevin. You be the change you want to see.
I hear you, Virginia. I like that.
Yeah, use the secret, Kev. That'll change it.
I got this from Therese. She said, hey, catching up on the podcast, talking about the Sunshine State law, and it needs to be lighter later, so I'm all for it. And I think so many people are, but this whole farmers need DST is complete bullshit. My grandparents were farmers, and my dad and his 9 brothers and sisters all worked the farm until they each went to college. When his older sister moved away to New York and he was still on the farm, he had to adjust the time an hour back when calling her during standard time because he said that no one ever told them that they were supposed to change times. They did everything by the sun. There was no daylight or standard time. It was just time. That's what I thought, too, because, you know.
Makes sense.
Yeah, my family who was farmers, and they would just, they're.
The sun's out. Oh,
Right.
Now we work. The sun's going down. Now we stop.
That's what dictates the farms, your animals, and the sun dictates them. They don't have a
you.
clock. They're not looking at that.
Thank you. Let's go back to basics and stop making it so complicated.
Yeah, she said, sorry for the long email, but it annoys me when I hear, the farmers need standard time. Shit that.
I only say that because that's what you always hear. Fucking farmer.
Yeah. Jaybird, I don't want you to go fuck yourself because my 11-year-old daughter adores you. So.
Aw.
I feel like when people say that, it's kind of like a term of endearment.
It is. It's meant with love. I'm wearing the shirt today, actually. Jaybird, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Somebody texted in, said, listen to the after the show, and I'd like to know how to listen to the ATS via Alexa. Can you please explain the how to do so? Yes, that is kind of like the next wave of what we're doing, something I push for like crazy here in the building. My God, they actually listen to me. And we got this screen over here, which is unfortunately still black, but
we got it. It's just not plugged in yet.
Yes. So
baby steps.
But
be
it's
the
here,
change, Kevin. Be the
it's
change.
Here, and they just put all the radio station streams on Alexa. So the first step is you can say, when we're on live, WRMF, you can say, Alexa, listen to 97.9 WRMF, or probably even what would work is WRMF. That's the good thing about our station. It's not like, hey, tune into Kiss FM or one of those standard radio names that's all over the country. And it'd be like, I don't know, there's 8,000 Kiss FMs.
Star 89.
Right, exactly. So that's the beautiful thing about WRMF. It's going to be unique that we call ourselves by the call letters. So right now you can listen to us live on Alexa in the morning, but you have to do something called Alexa Skills. And it's something you have to program, so we would put in like an audio file that Alexa would recognize and be able to pull up. So, but eventually you're going to be able to get the podcast, the regular show. We also want to do different features like Denny's Jokes, and things like that. Hell, we'll do Virginia recipes, whatever it is we're going to do. Jason's Thought of the Day, stuff like that will be Alexa Skills. And you would say like, Alexa, give me Jaybird's Thought of the Day. And then boom, it'd pull up. Alexa, give me the dirt of the day. And so you'll have to unfortunately do another special dirt of the day.
I will not do that. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. So we're getting there. So we're at phase 1. That's the first thing we have up. But I'm hoping within a month or two or as soon as possible that we'll have a menu on our website of skills.
Okay, so think 2 months, but be prepared for 2 years.
Yes.
Okay.
It's about how it goes. But yes, so it's on the way. It's something that we are working towards. I love this email from Kara. She said, hey, guys, longtime fan here. I remember listening on my way to work at 21, and I'm 37 now, recently divorced with 2 kids. My ex and I try to share as much time with our kids as possible as to ease the pain of divorce, and last Friday night we took them to Carmine's in Jupiter for pizza. We had the best time. The 4 of us were doubled over in laughter playing our version of Read My Lips.
Aww.
One morning on the way to school, Mags used to go to All Saints where my kids go.
Oh, yeah.
My son and I heard Jaybird guessing at this game, and I've never heard my kid laugh so hard. He is 9. Since then, we play by having one person plug their ears and move their fingers up and down to create a muffle. The other person speaks softly but mouths the words. We play often, and it's so hysterical hearing the guesses. My 6-year-old still brags about her guess, permanent sensory for mermaids in the sea. I want to let you all know that this small thing, this silly game, has provided our family so much laughter and fun in the midst of very hard times. Divorce sucks. But this game has really helped us stay silly, and I wanted you to know. And listening to Jaybird Guess is still our favorite part of any segment in the morning. You guys always make me laugh. Thank you so much. God bless. My goal is to get out for karaoke with some girlfriends one night. That's from Kara.
Yeah, come on out. Nice email.
Yeah.
Yay.
Love that. So that is a great email. Thank you for sharing that because that makes everything a little bit better for us.
That is a fun game to play with your friends, too, y'all.
Yes, it is.
I referenced Jessica earlier on the show today about how she'd gone to the Green Parrot in Key West. She used to live in the Keys, and that's where you go. That's like a locals bar. That's a cool little place to go hang out. She said, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for having Frank and I on the show last week, the After the Show. So amazing meeting all of you, and you really made that day so memorable. We had the best time, and I can't stop listening to that crazy podcast. Everyone with some suits, Denny's, Thumbelina, and you guys were so nice and generous to us. We really appreciate it. Hope you all enjoyed the beer and curds. Hopefully we'll be able to hang out in Wisconsin one day soon. From Frank and Jessica, and P.S. Chant fucking is pretty amazing.
Those curds are amazing. We were having some of those curds last night at Panda's birthday party.
Oh, yeah? Okay. There you go.
I've been eating them all week. Every day I take a little bit of a snack of cheese curds.
Just a
little bit of a snack. It just feeds the beast because I love cheese.
And also got to add somebody to the KVJ Nation map. Right here, baby. Adrian is listening in Waco, Texas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Texas.
Been listening since 2014. Love every minute. And my birthday's Saturday. Can I have a shout out?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
There you go. Adrian, thank you for listening in Waco.
Yeah, what version of that song is? I always hear that like at kids, but happy birthday, happy birthday. I don't like that version. I like the original better.
Yeah, easier to follow. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for the emails. Get them to us, mail at kvjshow.com, mail at kvjshow.com. Have a great day, and make sure you check out Bud's Chicken and Seafood. 7 locations in Palm Beach County. You got chicken, you got seafood, you got bird sauce, you got bud sauce.
Try the crab cakes.
There you go.
They're so good.
That's right. Or the frittles. I hear
Frittles, that was your mess up yesterday.
Frittles.
The frittles are delicious.
You know what? The frittles are great when you've been drinking.
That was-
They will soak up so much booze.
That was so fun.
You need a little friddle.
All right, y'all. Tomorrow, Cocktails Karaoke, 7 o'clock, Blue Martini City Place. Come drink with us. Let's have some fun. Y'all have a good day. Until then, later.
Cleveland Clinic, Florida provides individualized treatment plans for excellent outcomes of health problems ranging from the most common to the most complex, even in cases considered untreatable by others. Cleveland Clinic, Florida. Every life deserves world-class care.